Hello and welcome to yet another guitar channel. I'm Anjay and this is the Taurus Servo 2. Firstly, a huge thank you to Adam from Taurus for sending this over. I've had it for a few weeks now. I haven't reviewed it, purely just time and life. And he's been very, very patient with me. Taurus is a Polish effects company and they are better known for building floor-based tube amps. They might actually be one of the very first to release floor-based tube amps, but they also have a small pedal range, Servo 2 being one of them. It's an upgrade from the original Servo, and I'll explain what kind of has been added to it since then if you saw the original Servo. But it is what they call a guitar enhancer. Now what that means is you're going to need headphones on to hear the difference. That's not a bad thing, it's just the truth. You aren't going to hear through an iPhone speaker much difference when I'm using this through a clean channel. And the reason for that is it's not a gain pedal, it's not an overdrive, it's nothing like that. It is a preamp with some compression, with a buffer and a few other little things built in that enhances the natural sound of the guitar, adding harmonics to it, boosting it slightly, and then with a few other bits here doing some other things to it, which we'll come to. At the heart of it is this servo control, but you also have a boost, you have a volume cut, and you have the massive switch. I'm going to go through all the controls. I'm going to play it clean, and I'm going to play it through the MLA ACOD as well, so you can hear what it sounds like with drive after it. It's meant to be the first pedal in your effects range. And yeah, I'm just going to play it and let you hear it, talk about it, show you some things with it, and then let you decide. But here is my clean tone. There is too much reverb. I don't care. To everybody out there who's going to moan about it. Reverb, mothers. There, and some delay. Suck on that. Now then, I'm going to turn it on. Everything is set to kind of neutral, so you shouldn't hear anything in particular happen. Very slightly warms it up, maybe. Yeah, maybe slightly warms it up. I'm going to start winding up the servo, and you're not going to hear a gain jump. You heard a bit of volume jump, which we'll come to. But as I wind it up, if you've got headphones on, you might start to hear some extra kind of, I don't know, sparkle, really hard to describe. Now in the room I can hear a tiny bit of hair on the amp. I don't know how that's going to be recording, but that might just be the fact there is a volume boost. So there is a volume jump. So one of the things that people complained about with the original was that there was a volume jump they couldn't control if they were all the way up. So we have a little volume cut here that will cut a few decibels out of the overall volume. So if I play it now, in the room, that's about unity volume. Now, like I said, unless you're on headphones, you don't hear much. In the room, I can sort of hear the differences. The guitar sounds better. And it's one of those pedals, and I'll talk about this at the end, that you don't notice it's doing anything until you switch it off. It's like an EP boost or something like that, where you have it at the start of your chain, and you kind of go, oh, all right, I can probably do without that. And then you turn it off, you're like, oh, that's what it was doing. But it does some other things as well. So I'm going to leave that at max, because I like it there. One thing I can tell is the compression. So it makes notes bloom a bit more. Again, it's hard to spot, and I'm looking for it because I'm demoing it. You might not hear it, but again, in the room, you can kind of hear the notes slightly blossom. What else does this do? So you have the massive switch, which adds what they describe as tube warmth. Now you will hear a difference here. So it adds a lot of bass and kind of thickness to the sound. And it makes the guitar sound much bigger. So if you've got a Strat like this, where the bridge pickup is a little bit thin, you can thicken it out to make it sound a lot warmer. Now, oddly, when I was playing with this in rehearsals, my bandmate said the guitar sounded too big suddenly. That's how much an effect that has. But it does sit well in a band situation, because the rest of this is still pushing out all the nice frequencies. It just makes the guitar feel bigger. Now, the other thing this has is a boost. So if I flick it to there, you'll see the LED goes red, and this is now in boost mode. It gives you a few decibels of actual proper volume boost, and a little bit more hair to the servo control. So if I turn that all the way off, that adds a really nice volume boost, adds a little bit more grit to it, but also has another mode. If I flick it all the way to the top, it's now in always on mode. So this is just the servo on its own. And then pressing the button gives it a boost. And this is how I have it set. I have the kind of the volume cut set to middle, so it just gets it back to unity gain. Servo all the way up, and this, depending on if I'm playing on, I've got humbuckers, I have the massive switch all the way down. If I'm playing with my Strat, I have it in the first position, and then I have it set so that it's always on with the servo, and then pressing the button gives me a bit of a boost, and it's just a great extra kind of kick to the tone. So already very cool. Now let's put it into an overdrive. Without. With. also does a lot more if you have a gain pedal after it. So even if all I'm doing is halfway up on here, no warm switch. In the room, I can hear it kind of liven up. And if you wind this all the way up, and then if you throw the actual boost in as well, and throw the massive switch all the way up, just brings your guitar to life. And like I said, it's a weird thing where you don't necessarily notice it doing anything until you switch it off. And as soon as you switch it off, you're like, oh, my guitar doesn't sound as good anymore. So having it as this sort of always on mode, having the boost in there as well, giving it a little bit of a volume kick, pushing your amp, or as I use it, in front of a digital setup. So I have my Boss GX 100, and then I have this and a couple other pedals in front of it, and it gives it more of an analog feel, so it becomes more touch responsive, because it just adds that little something special, gives it an analog feel. And I know it sounds like I'm talking gobbledygook, sound enhancing, sparkly, warm, but it's the only way to describe it, because the way that it works, it just takes what you've already got and just makes it sound a bit nicer. And like I said, if you're on your iPhone listening to this, you can't hear it. If you're on headphones, hopefully you can hear. Hopefully you can hear it just opening up the tone a little bit. I absolutely love it. Not only do I love it because it sounds great, it looks great, there's some design gone on to this, and it's got one of those pedals people look at and go, what on earth is that? And it just sits there always on, waiting for me to hit the boost pedal. As soon as I take it out of the effects kind of lineup, the guitar doesn't sound quite as nice. The addition of the volume cut and the massive switch, which weren't on the Servo 1, is a really nice sort of welcome extra. Possibly, I would love to see a version 2 where middle position is a bass boost, top position is a bass cut, because I think for humbuckers a bass cut would be really nice, and possibly the top position is a little bit more bass than most people need. But that first position is great with a bridge sort of single coil pickup on a Strat. And yeah, it sits really nicely in front of other effects, adds that little bit of magic to your tone, and I think is a great pedal. So thank you to Adam at Taurus for sending it over. I do get to keep this, and it will be sat on my I have a little satellite board that has a fuzz, this, and an octaver on it. But yeah, that's a keeper, definitely. That's going to stay on the board for a while. Let me know what you think. What tone enhancer type pedals have you used? Do you like to have a spark or an EP at the beginning of your signal chain? Let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, and I'll speak to you all again very soon. Cheers.